Now, what if Magic had ended up on the Bulls instead? This changes so much. The formation of the Showtime Lakers never happens.
All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you all are having a good day so far. So I am gonna check in on Johnny Arnett, and this video popped up called the Most Underrated What Ifs. Outside of the title itself, I have no idea what the content of this is going to be, but I am looking forward to see it because Johnny's always got some creative stuff going on. So as always, I'm going to link the original video down below in the description if you guys want to check it out without me. Everybody else, please leave this video a like. It helps out a ton. The Most Underrated What Ifs. Let's see what it's all about. As always, the coolest intro of all time in YouTube basketball history.
There have been many crazy what-ifs throughout the long history of the NBA. For example, it's pretty well documented that Tim Duncan nearly joined Tracy McGrady on the Orlando Magic. If you've been around NBA YouTube very long, then you know very well that Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon nearly became teammates as rookies and would have had Clyde Drexler alongside of them as well.
Oh my God.
And then of course, possibly the greatest what if in NBA history is what if Len Bias had lived.
Dude, if MJ, Clyde, and Hakeem were on the same team, forget about it. They would have owned. Would they have owned the 80s? They'd have to get through the Lakers, man. What a rivalry that would have been. I think they would have dominated the Lakers back then.
Player who seemed destined to be a rival to Michael Jordan, just like he was in college.
Yeah.
And he would have been joining a Boston Celtics team that was already a championship contender.
The Len Bias thing is hard. Whenever we've talked about it on this channel, I'm always reading the comments regarding it. And a lot of you have said that he was not a party animal. And this was like his first time doing heavy drugs. So draft night was his first time. He was just partying, celebrating, and tragedy happened. And that's just a damn shame if that's really what happened. Regardless, it's just a damn shame.
But even with all that being the case, there are still plenty of other great what ifs. And some of them are not just underrated, but are extremely unknown. Today, we're looking at some of those significant but under-recognized what-ifs of NBA history. And let me know in the comments if you think there are some other ones that are worth recognizing. So without further ado, let's get into it. First off, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to the New York Knicks in 1974. As we all know, Kareem is one of, if not the greatest center in NBA history. And he won a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks, before eventually going to the Los Angeles Lakers, where he won 5 more rings.
Yeah, I think I remember him talking about this, saying something along the lines of, because he was really into jazz, and the culture in New York is where he wanted to be. Like, he wanted to be part of that culture. It wasn't Los Angeles, and it definitely was not Milwaukee. He wanted to get the hell out of there.
The thing is, that easily could have been New York instead of Los Angeles. Because in September of 1974, his famous co-star for the Bucks, Oscar Robertson, retired. And afterwards, Kareem was unable to negotiate a new contract with the Milwaukee Bucks. He had grown frustrated with the situation.
Hold up. I don't have any friends or family here. The things I relate to don't happen to be in the city in a meaningful degree culturally. What I'm about and what Milwaukee is about are two different things. Yeah, I remember this. He continued on, too. I don't want to take a knock at Milwaukee or the people. I just think, wait, and have them think they're unworthy of me. That's not what it's all about. Yeah, it's just, it was a cultural thing. He wanted to be, guy really loved his music, man.
And was ready to head to a new direction. It was at that point in October of 1974 that Kareem requested a trade, and he had a list of desired destinations. The first destination of choice was the New York Knicks, and his second choice was the Washington Bullets, and the third was the Los Angeles Lakers. Months passed, and later on in March of 1975, Kareem once again stated that he would like to be traded, but this time his preferred list had shrunk to just the New York Knicks or the Lakers, but preferably he wanted to go to New York. As you all know, eventually the trade materialized, but he was sent to Los Angeles, forever changing the course of history for Lakers basketball. But just take a moment and imagine if he had gone to New York instead.
Yeah, let's do it.
Willis Reed had just recently retired from the NBA, but with that being said, New York still had multiple stars and MVP candidates, in Walt Frazier and Earl the Pearl Monroe. So they had their perimeter locked down that made them a decent team, but what they needed was a superstar big man. And Kareem would have came in immediately and would have made them not only title contenders, but probably title favorites in what was an extremely competitive 1970s decade. One can only imagine how much the GOAT argument changes, how much legacies change, and how the perspectives of both the Knicks and the Lakers organization change if Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had gone to his preferred destination instead.
That would have changed everything for both franchises. Who knows if the Lakers even draft Magic Johnson at that point? You know, they would have been on a completely different path without Kareem, because they got Kareem and then they wanted to build around him. Magic was the perfect pick for that. New York, man, hard to imagine they wouldn't have won a couple rings out there.
The next what if is Dominique Wilkins to the Los Angeles Lakers in the 1982 NBA draft.
82.
The Lakers had the first overall pick in that draft, and with it, they took big game James Worthy, who was a forward out of the University of North Carolina. Now, Worthy was certainly a great acquisition for the Lakers.
Yeah, Worthy was he was like the Pippen to Jordan. James Worthy was that guy to Magic. I think this worked out for the best, but it would have been awesome to see Dominique in there as well. You got Dominique, Kareem, and Magic. Forget about it.
And helped them go on to win multiple championships. In many ways, he was also the ideal running mate for Magic Johnson, as his speed and finishing ability made him a tremendous threat in transition. But even with all that in mind, Dominique Wilkins is simply one of the greatest scorers in the history of the league, and went on to be a franchise cornerstone for the Atlanta Hawks. He ended up being the third overall pick, but if the Lakers had taken Dominique instead, then that likely would have translated to some of the greatest highlight reels that we had ever seen.
That's for damn sure.
Just
imagine him and Kareem crashing the boards back then.
And Magic Johnson leading the Showtime offense, throwing lob passes to Dominique Wilkins. Imagine how many fast break plays would have ended with 360s, windmills, and ferocious dunks. It would have been some of the most fascinating basketball that we've ever seen. And on top of that, I think the Lakers dynasty becomes even better, seeing how Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, and Dominique Wilkins were all capable of leading teams to be contenders. Arguably, it would have been the strongest and most intimidating three-headed monster of all time. But again, I honestly think the most unfortunate thing about it not happening is all the highlights that we didn't get.
Right? I know. Could you imagine poor Michael Jordan all alone in Chicago trying to beat the Atlanta Hawks in that scenario? Actually, no, that this would have been in LA, so forget about it. No, they would have just dominated the West. As much of a James Worthy fan as I am, I think this would have been better. Yeah, Dominique, Kareem, and Magic all on the same team, on the same starting lineup. They got everything covered at that point.
Next is Magic Johnson to the Chicago Bulls.
What's this?
Many years ago, the NBA draft had very, very different rules. And one of those rules was that the worst team in the Western Conference and the worst team in the Eastern Conference would have the first overall pick decided by a coin flip.
Wow.
At the time, the New Orleans Jazz were the worst in the West, while the Chicago Bulls were the worst in the East. But the thing is, the Los Angeles Lakers had the rights to the New Orleans Jazz pick because of a previous trade, and leading the rookie class that season was none other than Earvin Magic Johnson, meaning that the future of the Bulls organization, the Lakers organization, and one of the greatest players of all time all ended up being determined by a coin flip. The Chicago Bulls made the call, and they called tails, and it ended up being heads,
Dang.
solidifying Magic's future as a Los Angeles Laker. Now, what if Magic had ended up on the Bulls instead? This changes so much. The formation of the Showtime Lakers never happens. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar surely ends up with less championships on his resume, with a lack of Magic Johnson by his side.
Agreed.
Larry Bird probably ends up with way more championships now that he doesn't have Magic Johnson on a stacked Lakers team in his path.
100%, and Dr. J might have had a couple more as well.
Although, we would have had a lot more battles between Magic and Bird, seeing that now they would both be in the Eastern Conference. And probably the biggest ripple effect is the fact that if Magic Johnson is on the Chicago Bulls since 1979, then they're probably not bad enough to have the third overall pick in the 1984 NBA draft.
And even with Magic, they might have been so bad they didn't even make the playoffs those first couple of years.
Which means they're never in a position to take Michael Jordan in the first place.
Agreed.
This single what if changes the trajectory and the history of the most prestigious NBA franchises of all time. And it also changes the legacies of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and Michael Jordan. 4 different GOAT candidates all end up with a much different career, all because of a coin flip.
Jeez.
So now you've heard my choices for the most underrated what ifs in NBA history. What are yours? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Definitely
for more
like and
basketball
subscribe for
content,
Johnny
and
Arnett.
I'll see you guys in the next video.
Ooh. That's a good list. Actually, I didn't know about half of those. The stuff that you showed in the intro were the ones that I knew about. And then, like, outside of the Kareem one, I don't really recall any of these. So, yeah, Magic to the Bulls, that would have just, like, blown up history the most, in my opinion. That would have just, like, shattered history. Because I don't know how we'd look at Magic, because he'd be struggling a lot out there in Chicago. In Chicago, the organization didn't get their crap together for quite a few more years. It took them, like, it would have been like 8 or 9 years after he got drafted that they start figuring their crap out. So I'm really glad he didn't go to Chicago. I'm glad we got to see the Showtime Lakers with Magic Johnson leading the charge. And I can't imagine Jordan being drafted anywhere else, even if it was Houston with Hakeem and Clyde. As cool as that would be, that just wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't be fair. They'd be destroying the entire league together. So I like the story as it goes. But yeah, alternate universe stuff, I would love to see it. Like, it is the ultimate what ifs. So I'm glad you titled it that way, because that's what it is. It's a total what if, alternate universe. You know, I guess that's what 2K is for. We can plug these guys in and simulate and see what happens. But not quite the same as real life. Anyways, everyone, I'm out. Johnny, good video as always. You're always crushing it, man. Hope you're doing well. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Go check out Johnny's channel if you haven't. And leave this video a like if you don't mind. It helps out a lot. And subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. I appreciate you all. Hope you have a wonderful day. And I will see you very soon. I'll see you all in the comments, all right? Okay. Peace out.